Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. ALATREON has just dropped and I must say he is one of my favorite hunts by far. Gave me kind of those behemoth or 18 Nurgi difficulty kind of challenges back in the day. Now I've only had a couple of hours to try it, but I want to give you guys an update on like what I learned, some tips and guidelines on when you're hunting this guy for the first time. So this will include his main mechanics that I think you guys should be aware of, and then some tips to survive his other attacks. So, starting with the overall idea of the ALATREON hunt. He has multiple phases which are governed by an elemental DPS check. This is by far the most essential thing you guys should be aware of when you're hunting this monster. Essentially, you must be dealing a certain amount of elemental damage in a certain period of time. From my experience so far, we've usually found that the first DPS check comes within 5 minutes of the hunt. So right off the bat there, you need to bring an elemental weapon. If you're not using element, you're not helping anything towards that DPS check, and your team will be wiped by his Supernova move, the Escaton Judgement. I'll talk about the Escaton Judgement in a little bit. But the best elements you should be keeping in mind is that if you're fighting the fire version of him, you should be bringing dragon, water, or ice. And if you fight the ice version of him, you should be bringing dragon, fire, or thunder. I'll talk about why you should exclude one of these elements in a little bit when we discuss his horns. So yes, once you have your elements, you should just be focusing your damage on any weakened parts. Make sure to weaken them when you can. If you meet the elemental DPS check, you'll be rewarded with a special animation that actually knocks the monster to the ground, as you can see right here. This gives you a big opening for your team to do major DPS. This is the premise of the hunt, and so your main goal is to just get these DPS checks, clear them, then you'll be able to survive the Supernova Escaton Judgement, and then you're basically repeating the cycle until you actually kill him. Now, before we get to his Supernova, I want to discuss the horns. His horns appear to be the source of his power change ability. Now, ALATREON has two quest versions, an ice start and a fire start. Depending on which one you do, he actually cycles from the starting element to dragon to the alternate element, back to dragon, and then to the starting element. Breaking a horn actually stops him from alternating and limits him to dragon and the element that he's currently on. So since he has two horns, you have two chances to break him and stop him at a certain element without getting to the other element. So this gives you an idea that breaking a horn can actually help you govern which way you want the fight to go. Keep in mind though, breaking the horns does not stop him from using all the element attacks or his Supernova. It simply stops him from changing his armor to be resistant to one element or the other. So, going back to my point earlier then, you can avoid bringing one element if you can break his horn in a timely manner throughout the hunt. The first horn is quite easy to break, the second takes a bit, but you can eliminate that second elemental resistance if you break it early enough on and then later in the hunt. So my recommendation here, if you're doing the Fire ALATREON, the Evening Star quest, don't bring fire or thunder, just break his horn to prevent him from changing to ice. If you're doing the Dawn of a Death Star, don't bring ice and water. Last big mechanic we'll talk about is the Escaton Judgement. Regardless of your damage, ALATREON will launch this move to wipe attack every time he cycles through all the elements. He gives you a couple seconds to prepare whatever you need to, that's when it's really quiet. The second you start to hear something, he's attacking. Now as I mentioned before, if your team meets the DPS check, you will be able to survive this attack. Albeit, you still need to heal at an incredible rate. If your team doesn't meet the DPS check, it looks something like this. Quite impossible to heal, I will say. So one of the best options I've seen out there so far, if you're soloing, use Astro Jerky. About 2 of them will be enough. You can roll as well to cancel the animation and speed it up, and then just take another one when your health is really low. The main reason I would say Astro Jerky is because it's not wasting any health items, and it also clears away any red damaged area, which is all you really need to do. If you're hunting in a team, there's several options you can do as well. If you have someone with wide range, they may be able to help the team. What my team and I did is we had one person bring a health booster, and everyone just got together, stood there, and used their health potions and a max potion while standing in the booster. It was more than enough health, we were all safe, and you move on. Now that we have a little bit of a concept idea of ALATREON, let's talk about some of his attack patterns, and I'll give you guys some suggestions of what you need to be aware of. Leading from the last section, you can wallbang ALATREON in the corners of the map, and I suggest you do this if your aim is to break the head and control the fight. The rest of his attacks have very narrow hitboxes, and I gotta say, Capcom has done a superb job of making sure that you can accurately predict where his element attacks are going. As long as you're vigilant, you can practically iframe and dodge most attacks. Most of you will be running Sapphire armor. If you are, you're pretty good with the evade window 3, you don't really need any more. So ALATREON has a distinct attack when he changes between elements. It's a big dragon burst, which has a 360-degree range. However, it doesn't have too much of a range, so as long as you're 1 or 2 rolls away, you're totally fine and you can get right back in as soon as he's exploded. Other than that, all other dragon attacks come from his melees, which include arm slashes, tail whips, dash thrusts, and head slams. His thunder attacks have very narrow hitboxes, so you can accurately predict where they are and dodge them. Most of the time, if you're just serpentining around them, you're totally okay. Occasionally, he will do a wall of thunder that perpetuates 5 times in a straight direction. This wall is quite easy to dodge if you wait to roll from the edge of the last thunder attack towards him. I would recommend this, since the faster you can do this, the closer you can get to his head. His head is wide open for attacks while he's doing this thunder attack. For fire attacks, most of ALATREON's ground fires are pretty predictable. They have a track that blows up after a certain couple of seconds. You can watch the ground and accurately predict where you need to move. Now, like most monsters, he does have laser attacks, and he does have fire beams and ice beams, both of which are unblockable unless you have the shield up jewel. ALATREON also has a very interesting area attack in both fire and ice mode, where he suddenly gets in the air and blows the ground below him. This attack doesn't last more than 2 seconds, so if you see it, just get away from the area under his feet for about a second or 2 and then get back in. ALATREON's ice attacks are fairly more linear and straightforward. He summons ice blocks as one of his primary attacks. If these are hit with lightning, they will explode in dragon damage. So you can see right here, the lightning attacks come down and these ice blocks turn red. They're exploding with dragon damage. So with all of these element attacks, main thing I'm going to suggest, blight resistance is key. I cannot stress enough how important it is, especially with the quick DPS checks. Wasting time to clear blights over and over and over again is a big loss of DPS. Make sure you have blight resistance maxed out, either from the Sapphire armor or from the jewels. Other things I would recommend, since this is a team fight, Dust of Life and maybe even Friendship 1 are key for team play. You can really help out a teammate and keep your team alive if you have these small little things. I would also bring crafting material for Dust of Life, just in case. It's absolutely crucial to be able to help your teammates in a pinch. And that's really about it for the basics of ALATREON. I'll be doing another video on his armor assessment shortly, so keep an eye out for that maybe this weekend. I'm sure there's a variety of ways to do this hunt. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with, what kind of techniques and strategies other people come up with. Hopefully you guys can enjoy it. He's a really fun hunt. I love him. I'm going to be grinding him all week. If you'd like to join me, join my Discord, or come and see me live on Twitch. Until next time everyone, good luck with ALATREON.